My mom was a flight attendant, and so I've been flying since I was conceived, probably. I hope I wasn't conceived on the plane. But I've been flying since I was a wee little boy. And one of the things that I always felt was that I was never confined to this small town. So even though I grew up in it and I was bored and I was a teenager, just like any other teenager, I never felt that I was confined. So I always looked at the world as like I could be anywhere I want, it's just a matter of time. My name is Ben Leoni. I grew up in Caledon East, CE, that's just like 45 minutes north of Toronto, Brampton area. Went to high school in Mayfield, so that was my stomping ground. The only thing I did was I skateboarded and snowboarded. So when you live in a small town, you only have like one curb, one three set. What are you gonna do, right? Like you can't even progress in skateboarding in a small town. It was pretty lame, to tell you the truth. I was born in '85, and the curriculum that we had was designed for an old world. And this traditional world just wasn't working. And this was at the same time, this was the break of this digital revolution. So there was like these conflicting influences in my life where you have to go to school, you have to get a good college degree or a university degree, and then go on and become whatever it is you're gonna be. But at the same time, there was this other world that was manifesting right under our noses. And as kids, we knew this. The adults didn't know this. And still to this day, I don't think all the adults or the educational institutions know this. But there was this weird kind of entrepreneurial spirit that was just manifesting. Through high school, I didn't really conform to what the teachers were telling me. And so I was labeled with ADHD, and I was labeled with an underachiever at this point. But I sort of knew, and I didn't necessarily care that they were telling me this. And I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna really embrace what I want, and I'm gonna prove everybody wrong and fulfill my entrepreneurial journey. And at this point, this is where I was a kid, and I was in high school, and I was like, okay, what do I love? What do I love? What's passionate to me? And really where it came down to, I was passionate about skateboarding, I knew that. I was passionate about art and design and music. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I edit skate videos? And why don't I design skateboard decks? And that's really where my career took off. So it was about 16, 17, something like that. And I knew I could design, and I knew how to mouth, I could sell, or I knew I was passionate. So I ended up landing a client called Canadian Skate Supply. At the time, they were supplying blank decks to all the local skate shops. So I thought, hey, why don't I go to this guy and sell and start doing designs? And what happened is I started giving them designs, and they didn't like anything at the start. So I asked them, can I use all the defects and sell all the defects in school? So there's all these warped boards and cracked boards. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And he gave me these defects. I paid like $200 for like, let's say 30 skateboards. And I talked to my friend beside me who had the locker, and I had both lockers right by the cafeteria, opened them both up. And during period change and lunch hour, I was hustling skateboards out of my locker. So that really like ignited my entrepreneurial career. You have to have an appreciation for conformity, because if there weren't rules, then you can't really break them. And that was really fun for me to do. I was still battling conformity. So when I was doing all this design and everybody started to see my success, my parents, my teachers, they said, why don't I go to college for design? So this is where I sort of curved a little bit into going through the college path. And I went to London for college, and that's where I took graphic design and advertising, and that's what really led me into college. I thought, hey, while I'm in college, I should be, I'm learning a lot of stuff, but I'm also an entrepreneur, so I should be out there hustling what I got. I ended up emailing everybody around the world, any companies that I thought I could help, and I was trying to sell them, pitch them an idea in all these different places in the world. And one of these companies in Finland, in Helsinki, ended up emailing me back and said, hey, we really love this idea. And I had a connection out there at the start, and that's how it came into fruition. But I really love this idea. Are you able to fly out here, meet with us, and pitch this idea in person? And I was like, yeah, like I'm in college. I handed in my projects, took off. They don't know how old I am. So that's one thing. That's a great thing about being on the other side of an email. But the work spoke for itself. I was very respectful. I got right to the point. I told them what I've done in the past. Remember, I worked for Canadian Skate Supply, right? So I'm a national designer, aren't I? So they're like, wow, this is amazing. Let's get him over here. And so I ended up flying out over there, man. The idea was, imagine if you took X amount of dollars and we created your own magazine, your own editorials, and you got all the ad space you want for free. Not only that, you can make money on selling ad space now. And that idea just resonated with everybody. And they wanted a strong lead designer with a vision to come and share the love. Now I'm an international designer, right? So I ended up emailing a lot more people. And I flew out to Hong Kong. I worked in LA with Jason Ellis, which is a pro skater, if you remember him, on Tony Hawk's Vert Skater. He's an MMA fighter now and a serious radio host in some kind of way. Through all these travels, I really just solidified my love for design and the international language of design. I think communication played a strong role in everything I did. So when I came back, I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna go right into work. I'm just gonna move downtown, Toronto, and I'm gonna basically start this thing up out of my living room and see what happens. So now we're in my living room in Toronto. I have no money. I'm eating stale hot dog buns and crunchy peanut butter, and that's a for real story. And I just started designing my own website. I wanna give myself a brand. So if you see my logo, I have the girl we call Avi. That was inspired by my travels. And I created the company called Design Pilot. And I just started emailing again, everybody. And this is at a time where web design was really hot for companies to have. As I grew Design Pilot, I really focused on what I loved doing, which was creating a great experience, which was connecting people. And that always came through a lot of the work that we did. Although I was still selling web design, experiences, content design was really what came through and made me unique. So after the world finally caught up, thank God, I was able to say, you know what, this is 10 years later. I felt it was finally time to release Avistudio, which is inspired again by travel and inspired by just an overall perspective of the world. And the word Avi comes from avian, which is bird, aviation. And I just thought when I was up there, this is just such a great perspective to have. When you can finally step back from the forest, you can truly see the trees. And by doing so, I think it really aligns you with what you're passionate about and what you're destined to do. You know what? I don't think I've ever had a highlight. So to tell you the truth, it was all shit the whole time. I've worked relentlessly. I've invested every single dollar that I had back into the company, back into the people of the company. And I don't know if I've ever really had that major highlight. To me, it was always like, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Like, you got to, because you can fail at what you don't love, so you might as well take a stab at doing what you do love. This is like a morbid saying that I used to say, but I always said that you need to, if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you need to be able to hustle with one foot off the ledge. Okay, like you need to be like to the last moment, and then you're like, okay, something happens, you don't jump. Well, starting a business, I mean, what's tough is doing everything, wearing multiple hats, and that's all cool, but I have such a deep appreciation for people's brands and other people's businesses and my clients' businesses that I took everything extremely personal. So if they weren't successful because of something that I've done, it might not have been me, it could have been other things in their company, but I took that personal. There was no luck involved. Every time something good happened, I needed to analyze it. Why did it happen? How do I redesign this so it happens again? Anytime something bad happened, I had to look at that as a lesson. And this was like relentless work, man. Like I'm completely exhausted because I'm just continuing to hustle. So there's no luck involved. Now the piece of advice that I can give to any high school student, any college student, or any parent or mother or father or person that's in a job right now who wants to become an entrepreneur or change their career path, it would be to really reverse engineer your dreams. You need to practice envisioning the perfect life. if that's spending more time with people, with your family, if that is making a lot of money, driving a nice car, doing any of these types of things, you need to look at that life and you need to reverse engineer it. And then as soon as you reverse engineer it back to what today would be like, you need to schedule out your day to reflect and to help realize those dreams. Dale Carnegie says, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that means that no matter what, if you're just pursuing what you love, and you don't know what you love, but you're pursuing what you think you love right now, and then you adapt to what you love throughout this process, but if you're pursuing what you love, you're a success. You don't need to be rich, you don't need to be anything, but if you want to be successful, you have to progressively realize your worthy ideal. Ben_the_entrepreneur is my Instagram tag. I don't know if this is going to be on YouTube, you can link it right here. But check out avistud.io. So Avistudio, it's a hard URL to know. Avistudio.ca is an easier one. But check me out on Instagram, like that's the best way. I love writing to people, I love giving career advice. I love helping them out on their entrepreneurial journey. You guys can also check me out on this guy here, which is my day-to-day vlog on YouTube, where I provide entrepreneurial advice, radical advice, mind you. You know, it's not gonna be, I think you're gonna probably need your parents to agree to for you to watch this, but you can check me out on YouTube as well.